and I will count us in. We're going to get started in 5, 4, 3.
The gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for January 17th, 2025. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, we live in a world where the Switch 2 is real and Sony has canceled a live service God of War game because why was it making a live service God of War game? But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's Tamoor Hussain, everybody. Tam, how are you doing?
Hello, everyone. I am here with many questions about a God of War live service game.
Don't we all have
many
questions?
I have some executives that I would love to pick the brain of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's, well, we're going to get into all that. There's some, wild mismanagement left and right in the video game industry. It really is rife across this entire thing. And I get it. It's a messy business, hard one to predict. But boy, they just find ways to get creative only when it comes to making new and surprisingly bad decisions.
Yeah, exactly.
You were at CES. How are you feeling after such a fun time out in Las Vegas?
Oh, man, I hate Las Vegas with a dying passion. So, yeah, as mentioned, I got rushed to hospital while in Las Vegas.
Yes.
I think I got food poisoning and norovirus at the same time.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
which
that
is
could
a
be rough.
Crazy combo.
Yeah, I bet.
And, oh, buddy, it was rough. It was rough.
Yeah, so my family had norovirus going around over the Christmas break, and I heard it. It was kind of going through everywhere. So, yeah, not surprised to hear that you picked that up.
Yeah, I mean, like, when I went to the hospital, there were, like, nurses talking, like, terror in their faces about how badly it was ripping through, like, the community and also their own workforce. They were like, oh yeah, most of the nurses on my team are out because they all got norovirus. And I was like, damn.
Was it did it at least happen like quickly? Was it like, oh, were you over it quickly or like, relatively speaking?
I was over it. It was a 3-day period of all of that happening. The norovirus was maybe like 12 hours.
Yeah.
But it was like, because it overlapped, it was like my body was struggling. It was like, oh, fuck. I mean, like I had like hotel security and medical come to check on me. And they looked at me and they were like, call an EMT immediately.
Yeah.
That is like that bad.
I mean,
like,
you're just losing fluids. Like you're going to be in rough shape.
But I was like I couldn't, I had no vision at one point. I was like blacking out because of how badly I was like dry heaving and like throwing up. And then like I'll tell you one day at some point soon when we're not doing a morning news show, I'll tell you the full story, which involves me making a series of bad decisions following that that ended with me crying at an airport.
Okay, well, I look forward to that. Listen, I'm glad that you are home and all right, and I hope we got a long weekend coming up. Just relax, take it easy.
I did not know that, and I keep remembering it now since finding out, and I'm like, hell yeah.
Yes. Take the whole 3 days, and I hope that you are able to just kind of do nothing and recover a little bit and get back on top of things. Let's explain what we do here most weekdays. I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Sony cancels 2 more live service games, including a reported God of War spinoff. This comes from Ollie Welsh at Polygon, who came by way of Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg. Sony has canceled 2 live service PlayStation games from in-house developers Bin Studio and Bluepoint Games. The company confirmed the cancellation to Bloomberg and said 2 studios were safe from closure. The 2 studios were safe. Bloomberg's Jason Schreier reported that the game in development at Bluepoint was a live service God of War spinoff. Sony said the cancellations were made following a recent review, and that it was working closely with each studio to determine what is next for each company. The Sony spokesperson didn't say if there would be any job cuts at Bend and Bluepoint, but an internal email seen by Bloomberg said that Sony planned to do everything we can to ensure there is minimal business impact. Still, it will be a destabilizing moment for the studios, both of which seem to be operating well out of their current comfort zones by working on live service games. Bluepoint is known as perhaps the games industry's premier remaster and remake studio for its work on the likes of Shadow of the Colossus and Demon's Souls, and at the time of its acquisition by Sony in 2021, said it was working on an original game. Bend is best known for making action-adventure games like Siphon Filter, Espionage Series, don't leave out Bubsy 3D, and then also Days Gone. So you looked into this a little bit. Yeah, all this is true. The two studios found out at the same time as everyone else. So people will be going into work today wondering, hey, okay, what are we doing next? And what they're going to have to do next, very likely, is pitch something to Sony.
Yeah.
And the landscape of that has changed pretty drastically, Tam, where it's like, a couple years ago, you bring to PlayStation your pitch that is, it's a live service game. We know you want to hear that. And can we use the God of War IP? We know you want to hear that. And then they get the green light and they get budget and they get funding. They can grow their studio, hire more people. The people working there are safe. And now they have to go back to the drawing board and come up with a pitch that PlayStation wants to hear when no one really knows what they want to hear. And so it's a rough situation. But that is how a live service God of War game kind of gets the green light. It's just what PlayStation wanted to hear in that moment. But that's the only universe in which that makes sense in any way, right?
I think that is absolutely true. That is the only universe where it makes sense. I don't think it's the same universe where Bluepoint pitches it.
Yes,
I feel like this is top down as opposed to bottom up. I don't think there's someone at Bluepoint that was like, what I'd really fucking love to do right now.
Oh, for sure. No, this is them being like, here's like
God of War Ascension 2.
This is definitely like a situation where it's like, hey, wouldn't it be nice if you guys worked on something like that? And then Bluepoint goes,
and they were like, we'd really like to remaster Bloodborne. And they were like, but God of War, and you never stop playing.
Yep.
And they're like, no, they're like, God of War.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Yes. And then so it becomes like the circular thing where it's like now Bluepoint's leadership has to go and be like, all right, team, give me all your ideas for this, and let's go take that to PlayStation and see if they give us the final thumbs up. And of course, PlayStation says yes, because they wanted more of those things specifically. You're absolutely right. I mean, just who was asking for this outside of Sony executives? I really don't know, and I don't think there was anyone.
No one. There definitely wasn't anyone. Like, this is clearly like, what is our biggest IP right now? Man in Suit is like, what is our biggest IP right now? God of War. What do we need right now? A constant, steady stream of revenue. Great. Get the lads on it. Put the two together. That's how executives work. Like, that's how fucking dumb CEO brain is. They like see the numbers going up in two different sections and go, what if we put them together?
Yeah, they'll go twice as fast.
And they'll go, the numbers will go up thicker. You know what I mean? The line's going to be thicker.
The thick line, yeah.
Yeah, it is. I think I am completely nonplussed and unsurprised at the stupidity of this idea. The thing that really strikes me and makes me upset is the talent that is being wasted on it. Like, Bluepoint, kidding aside, Bloodborne remake, whatever it may be, Bluepoint has put out the best remakes and remasters in the business. They're the gold standard when it comes to like quality of remaking games and remastering games. One, making them do this is pulling them away from the thing that they're best at. At the same time, I don't think that's a studio that should be just doing that forever. Like, give them the ability, time, and resources either to further develop the original product that they're working on, the original game and idea they're working on, or enable them to make more of that stuff. Like, give them an opportunity. I hate that it's like, oh, you can't do the things that you want to do or you're good at because we're going to make you do the thing we think is going to make us more money, but is definitely a bad idea. And the same goes for Bend in a lot of ways. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Days Gone.
Sure.
I absolutely adore it when Sean is playing it, but otherwise I don't want to see that shit. And I definitely don't want to see the director on Twitter saying shit either, or whatever it may be. But again, Bend Studio, give him the opportunity to thrive. Don't give him the kind of like pathway to failure and then lay everyone off later, or put people at risk of being laid off. Because again, you're a dumbass CEO that made decisions, and then the people below you are going to pay the ultimate price.
Yeah, and it's hard to like kind of overstate what you're describing there, because those decisions are like more affecting than ever. Like, they have a larger wake behind them than ever before, because these things are more expensive and take more time. And so they've been working on these things for years, and now they do have to go back to the drawing board. They have to pitch something, and even if that gets the green light, we're talking like maybe we get out of this generation without another game from Bluepoint and Bend.
And companies like Sony, PlayStation, at least anyway, they're at a stage now on the capitalism arc and the trend chasing arc where, like, if your idea doesn't work, there is no interest in trying to figure it out. The quickest thing people do is put a bullet in the brain of that project and move on to taking another stupid, ridiculous shot potentially. And like, the poster child for Sony is Concord. Like, how much did they pump into that fucking game, that studio?
Yep.
Crazy amounts of money. Admittedly, they didn't market it for a single second until the day before the game was released, but that is a millions and millions and millions of dollars project, and it flopped. But instead of doing the thing that we used to do, where Concord: A Realm Reborn comes out after much, further investment and some earnest kind of communication and a desire to see something succeed, we don't have that anymore. Just shoot that thing in the brain, take it outside, old yell of that shit, and get on with it. Yep. Like, come up with the next one, and if that don't hit, we're gonna take that one out, shoot in the brain, and then send you on your way. It's fucking awful.
And to be, extra clear, these two games getting canceled is 100% the result of what happened with Concord. This is Sony looking at Concord, being shell-shocked, coming back and being like, okay, let's review everything we're working on, and does this give us the whiff of Concord? And if it does, axe it, because we are terrified of having another situation like that. So that's what Sony's been doing now, going through all its games, assessing every situation, and pulling the ripcord if they even get a hint that something like Concord could happen again.
I have a question for you. Obviously, like the conversation and the sentiment around Xbox isn't super great right now.
Yeah.
Unless you're a diehard, like, I'm gonna ride this D till I die.
Sure. They're out there.
Xbox fan, and they are out there. It's not particularly great. And I think the assumption is Sony is in a much better place. Is Sony in a better place? Because if you stand back and really look at it, it doesn't seem like they're in a much better place.
I mean, I think it's the same picture, right? It's almost like the problems that when the problems are the same picture. Maybe it's exacerbated at Xbox because they just don't have the raw success of the console sales numbers that would cover over some of that. But the issues that are fundamentally a problem for Xbox are all fundamentally a problem for PlayStation. And really, this is like you talked about trend chasing. Trend chasing worked for a good long time, from 2010 to about 2020, 2021, kind of the first parts of the pandemic, where it's like every trend was out there. I've been talking about this week a little bit on other shows, but it's like people in traditional games looked to mobile, and they took a bunch of stuff like Gacha. They took battle passes and free to play stuff, and they applied it to their games. Every studio was like, let's just take a battle royale, let's chase that trend, and that worked for one game after another for quite some time. All those trends worked, and there was a bunch of them all happening at the same time, and that led to huge growth, steady for a decade. And that is not normal. Actually, it was a pretty abnormal thing that all of these new business models and new gameplay models were all popping off at the same time and bubbling to the surface. And if you were a big corporation, you could go to the store and just pick one off the shelf, pick 3 off the shelf, apply it to your new game, and you were going to make buco bucks. And now all that trend sort of underline, like the place where all those ideas were coming from, early access and mobile, that stuff's matured quite a bit, and now it's not producing as many new ideas all at the same time. So a company like Sony can't just go there, pick one off the shelf, apply that to their game, and it just works. It's a lot more difficult now, and that is definitely a problem for Xbox. It's a problem for all these big companies, and it's a problem for PlayStation. So the growth, which is what we always go back to, it's always about, you had a great year last year, you have to have a better year next year. The growth is just not obvious for either of those companies. And really, it's like, it wasn't obvious for Nintendo, other than like, let's make great games that are affordable. And Sony and Microsoft have like kind of not adopted that way of thinking. They're like, we can chase these trends and keep making games more expensive, keep going after that traditional audience. They'll keep spending more money than ever before. And a lot of us in the traditional gaming audience are more skeptical of these games than ever, and feeling a little bit burned, and feeling like, you just want to take up all our time with a couple of games, and it's all this stuff is coming to a head at the same time. So yeah, I think that both PlayStation and Xbox are in a very similar boat, and they are looking for what's next, and it's not obvious what's next.
Yeah, it's just interesting that the perception isn't the same there. Like, people think that there's such a disparity between them, when actually
they can't see the forest for the trees, right? They
exactly.
see PlayStation winning, Xbox losing, and not like the things that these companies are actually concerned with, which is like reporting to investors 1% growth over last year.
It's very America central, but America as a culture is team sports pilled. Like, everything has to be team sports. The thing that really frustrates me is how obvious it is that your live service project is probably going to fail. Like, I don't understand how you I'm expecting a level of responsibility and capability of people in decision-making positions that they clearly aren't exhibiting. But like, how don't you like look at a list of recent live service games, or all live service games, and look at which one hit and which one didn't, which one was a success and which one's a failure, and then calculate the ratio and be like, how many of these succeeded, how many of these failed? The list of failures compared to the list of like perennial, does the thing that you want it to do, is bringing in buku bucks, live service games, is minuscule. Like, the difference is huge. Like, there's so many of the failures, and it's like, a normal responsible person would be like, probably shouldn't do that. Looks like a failure. But that's how bad the trend chasing is gone. It's like what I was saying earlier. Like, every single one of these is a Hail Mary, and it's done intentionally. And the reason it can be done is because the people who are making those decisions ultimately face no repercussions for it. It's the people who are forced to execute that are made to suffer the worst for it. And that is why, I don't know, maybe you should, if you're in one of those positions, maybe you should join some sort of group that will take care of you if anyone starts mistreating you in the workplace. I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, it's hard to remember the name of those things.
Bring them together, group.
Yeah. Apes Together Strong.
Yeah, Apes Together Strong. That could be a good one. Like, create some sort of, tribe.
Yeah.
Rebellion sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're right that the chances of success are minuscule, but that's not the number they look at, Tam. The number they look at is, look how much money Fortnite's making. That is a lottery ticket. And just like people play the lottery, CEOs are trained to sort of go after big risks if the reward is big enough. And they kind of keep making the same mistakes over and over again because they talk themselves, hey, it didn't work for them. It never works. They delude themselves into thinking it can work, but it could work for us. And we get that over and over.
It's really funny because, like, historically precedent, like, Fortnite is this generation's World of Warcraft. remember when World of Warcraft came out and it was unbelievable the level of success it reached. Yep. And MMOs came out of everywhere. Like fucking everyone had an MMO because they saw Warcraft absolutely destroying everything and like just Kirby sucking every bit of money everyone had around the world. Like, and then they were like, oh, like, we got to make an MMO 100%. Not a single MMO came even close in that period of time to the success of World of Warcraft. They just kept coming out, and then a couple of months later, they were dead every single time. And to this day, I don't think there's a a MMO that is on par with World of Warcraft. And it's the same for
Fantasy
Fortnite.
14 is close, and
it's close.
And World of Warcraft is still bigger, I think. Yes.
Yeah, it's still bigger. And that is like the message or the lesson there is you will never be anything close to the sensation of your era when it comes to like media, especially video games. There will never be a Fortnite. Like if you exist right now and your idea is let's do this, but it doesn't work. It's not going to work. Fortnite was like unlike anything else. If your idea, the only time it has a shot, if it's literally unlike anything else, and even then it's a risk.
And you know, and you can, like, that's what was happening when the trends were working is you can be like that other thing if you are the big company that can make the big slick version of it. If you are going to take PUBG and you're going to make Fortnite that the normies are going to immediately understand in a way that they couldn't into PUBG, you're going to have a lot of success. And I think that was maybe one of the things that was a problem here is that the trends work a little bit better than they did with WoW because so many people were coming into gaming in the 2010s and through the pandemic so that an Apex Legends could launch and get 50 million users in like a couple of weeks. And it's like, okay, well, so another one worked. And everyone's like, no, that can't work. It's going to come out. It's not going to do Fortnite. And it did pretty close to like what Fortnite was doing for a while. And then so everyone's like, well, let's keep that going. And it's like, well, no, actually that was the last one. The door did close eventually, like we all knew it was going to. It just took one or two more games. And, you know, and now Apex Legends is, you know, slowly fizzling out because, again, Fortnite takes all the oxygen out of the room.
Yeah, I don't really think of what Fortnite is and became at the kind of precipice of its like ascension to be the same thing as what PUBG was. Because I feel like by the time they got to the point where it started popping off and it was like, oh, this thing prints money, it had transformed into the beginnings of the everything game for all properties and IPs, the metaverse, that kind of stuff. And it happened at a time when it was very clear that a cultural zeitgeist around it existed in a way that PUBG didn't get. PUBG is massive, but it's like it's different. It's apples and pears compared to like Fortnite. Yeah,
and really, that was another thing. Is like there were audiences coming online in other countries, so that a PUBG is still to this day like often has like 700,000 concurrents on Steam. They're just mostly in China, but that created room for like other games to pop off in other territories. And all right.
Now, if you're telling me you have a game in which 99 tarnished parachute into the lands between, I'm listening. Okay.
Hey, man, they should have a battle royale mode in Night Rain. Let's go. All right. Let's just kind of go a little angle away from this story. So, hey, Blue Point was working on a live service God of War game. I think the obvious thing you mentioned earlier, you know, jokes aside, that they should do next is, well, you know, no one's making that Bloodborne game. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. Former PlayStation exec theorizes Bloodborne director is too busy for remaster. This is from Evan Campbell at GameSpot. Shuhei Yoshida was on Kind of Funny, was talking to Greg and them over there. And I'm just going to read what he said here. He says, Miyazaki's son really, really loved Bloodborne, what he created. So I think he's interested, but he's so successful and so busy, so he cannot do it himself, but he doesn't want anyone else to touch it. So that's my theory, and the PlayStation team respects his wishes. And this is definitely something I've heard before years ago, was this is something that everyone wants to happen, but Miyazaki and From want to hold the keys to the door. And so I was always like, at the time I got in trouble with fans because I speculated like maybe it's just like too complicated of a game. Maybe there's spaghetti code in there that people can't access unless they like work with From, and From's too busy. And it's like the one of the guys that like does a lot of mods for the game, very, very famous guy, was like, there's not spaghetti code. I'm like, I was always speculating that part. The only part that I've heard is FromSoft wants and needs to be involved if something happens with Bloodborne. And then more recently, I've heard nothing's happening with Bloodborne. So yeah.
I mean, like it's all but confirmed that this is the case. Like it's not really a theory. Obviously, like I know Shu is presenting it as his theory, which is a genuinely held theory. But I think there's been enough rumblings. I've heard the same where it's like this thing is one of Miyazaki's like babies, and he's like don't. And obviously, Sony needs some level of sign off from him and involvement from him, and I think he's just not in a position to do that. You know what the saddest thing about this is? The theory basically is, and the thinking is, he's so successful that he can't do this, so we need to hear him to be basically less successful. And what they're saying is the only time we're going to get a Bloodborne remaster is when Miyazaki falls off, and Miyazaki is never falling off. It's never gonna happen.
No, he might faint, and then he'll turn around and give you a smile and release some real shit.
Bro, this man came in and was like, watch what I do to Dark Souls 2, and was like, good game now, everyone, enjoy. Miyazaki will never fall off, and we will never get a Bloodborne remaster or remake.
It feels that way. I mean, the emulation scene apparently seems to actually be fixing this recently. A lot of talk about how emulators are getting to a point where they can run that game real well.
I mean,
on
like
PC.
Someone's basically remade the entire game on PC, which is, if you're not tracking that progress, it is unbelievable. And Bloodborne is running on PC. It's out there.
We're there. Yep. All right. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk about the rest of the headlines, including shakeup of leadership over on the Dragon Age team at BioWare right after this.
Let my cat out real quick.
Yeah, do your thing. All right. We're back. I'm not going to make you wait. Tam just let out his cat real quick. Dragon Age, the Veilguard game director Corinne Busche reportedly leaves BioWare. This is from Sophie McAvoy at GamesIndustry.biz. Dragon Age, the Veilguard game director Corinne Busche has reportedly left BioWare. According to our sister site Eurogamer, Busche recently departed the studio. GamesIndustry.biz reached out to Electronic Arts to get further clarification. Busche has worked at EA for 18 years, joining in 2006. Let's see, as a designer before moving on to senior design roles, including creative director and design director. She became game director of Dragon Age the Veilguard in February 2022, overseeing development, blah, blah, blah. She's, this is accurate. She is, according to a letter that leaked that is real, she is going to a new studio to work on a new RPG. So she got a new job. That's what's happened here. Not that strange of a thing. There are some, I believe the technical term, Tam, is chuds. There are some chuds on the internet who immediately, actually, there's some of them leaked the letter. And
I won't name them, but I can tell you which fucking shit munchers that have got nothing else going on they are, probably.
That you can, and that is 100% accurate. They got nothing else going on. They added on a fun little rumor to the side of that is, and maybe like they're talking internally about closing BioWare Edmonton, and that studio's going to shut down. Everyone's going to lose their jobs because the game was too woke. And it's like that part is not. There's nothing to that part. I'm not saying that like that studio is 100% safe, like long term. It's just that is not what has happened here, and there's nothing to like support that based on the evidence. And I've had multiple people tell me that at this point. So
listen. Yeah, I have access to community notes.
Yeah,
and let me tell you, right?
Yeah, community.
I'm looking at the sources of those rumors, and like looking at the community notes underneath them. We are so fucking cooked. Yeah. We are so cooked, man. Yep. There's a community note which is like this addendum is incorrect. Here is the source. There are motherfuckers in that arguing about whether the statements that are like denying that and outright proving that's not happening are correct, or if there's something more going on. We as a just nuke Twitter, man. Just get rid of it.
Yeah, every time I go back there for any reason, I always come out being like, oh man, there's a reason I don't spend time there anymore. It's rough. But yeah, this is a normal thing. A director, finished a game. That's a lot of work. they're now looking down the barrel of let's start a new project and another several years of my life working on that. I mean, at this point, another 5, 6, 7 years working on that. Do I have the have that in my stomach to go through all that again? Or do I want like a change of scenery to help, make that go down a bit easier? And a lot of the times, these people choose to like move on. And so I think that's what's happening here.
Jeff?
Yeah.
I'm your friend. I love you.
Yeah, please.
I'll always look after your mental health.
Yep.
Just don't go on Twitter today.
Okay.
You specifically don't do it.
Okay. Thank you,
Don't do it.
All right. No,
just
I appreciate
stay away.
that.
Stuff has just popped up as I was looking at it, like fresh. Just stay away from Twitter. When you have that inkling to think about just to see what's going on and see if there's any replies to your tweets, don't do it.
Tell you what, Leaker of the Year doesn't need to check Twitter. All right. Twitter can come to me if it has something to say, and I don't let it in my house. So.
You've got better things to do. You've got
appreciate that, Tim.
You've got a life to leave. Enjoy your life.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm gonna. It's my daughter's birthday weekend. I'm gonna go spend time with them, and we're gonna play some Tears of the Kingdom together, and then we're gonna go to the arcade, and that's what I'm gonna do. Yes, Mr. Leaky himself, everybody's gonna go enjoy some time with his family. Appreciate that, Tam.
You're welcome.
There's not much to the story other than like, EA's not like has like great footing when it comes to its games that aren't sports games. Obviously, college football was a mammoth success, so the company's making a lot of money. But that is on EA Sports, which is now a separate division from EA Publishing, and all those like EA Publishing side games continue to be like, are these making enough money? Is this a good idea? Now, people are going to be wondering about Mass Effect. They've already said pretty much everyone at BioWare across the board is now focused on that in the way that they had all shifted to Dragon Age to get that game finished. So, yeah, they're still working on Mass Effect, and that game is probably going to be just fine.
People will not mention it, but like, this is commonplace. This happens on most projects.
Yeah.
The difference here is there's a higher profile around this project, one, and then there's a
culture war.
There's a culture war happening around it that specifically involves this person. And generally, it's like, you'll be surprised how many people, just directors, leave projects unless your thing absolutely pops off and you're a Cory Barlog, Hideo Kojima,
And what's happening in those situations is they have enough juice to continue rising up the chain until they can't anymore. And then Kojima was like, this kind of sucks here, and I don't like working here. I'm going to get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, like at some point, someone else, you probably have had it yourself, where you're like, how can I make something that's entirely my own?
Yep.
And the prospect of like starting at a brand new studio or another studio on an entirely new RPG is probably very appealing. And there's no guarantee that she, rides that IP or that RPG, whatever, to the finish line. Like, that's just the way it works in this industry. Like, you go in there with the best of intentions and hopes, and be like, I'm going to work on this new RPG.
3 years working on something,
and then be like, this is not working for me. I have other things that I want to do, or life has changed, other opportunities. That's just video games, man. Like, the amount of people that just move around is unreal. And it's just remember that there's multiple spotlights placed on this one for various different reasons.
That's right. And I think it's always important to remember that there's actually, once you become a senior developer at one of these major publishers, pretty hard to keep moving up the totem pole. One, they want to keep as many senior developers as possible as senior developers, because that is a very valuable position. Even as we talk about layoffs all the time, they're not laying off senior developers most of the time because they need them very desperately.
Yeah.
And then you become a game director, and it's like now there's like 5 positions you could possibly get promoted up to, and those are always filled, and they kind of like get musical chaired, where it's like then they bring in an executive from another company to fill that position. So it's like you can't keep moving up, and so you have to like make your own opportunities, and that's 100% what this is.
And also, like, not just like moving up, the things that you do as you move up, like, is very different the things that you might want to do. Like, as a creative person, like, let's take Corinne as an example. Like, she's in a director role, which might be a set of responsibilities that may not engage the creativity in her or anyone else. Like, I'm the managing editor of a website. I don't get to make as much content as I want to make. because I'm in a managing editor role. So there's sometimes you have to make the decision where it's like, how do I get what feeds my soul a bit more? How can I get into a space of life where I am getting a little more like, out of my creative energy? And sometimes that involves like starting fresh somewhere. Yep. And, could be, there's a million reasons.
All right, let's kind of shift over to some more Nintendo news after the Switch 2 got announced. We did a talk over yesterday morning. We had a conversation about it on Game Mess Mornings. So a lot of conversation about Switch 2 already on the website. Let's clean up some stuff about what's happening with Nintendo maybe elsewhere first. There's a report that Nintendo is readying... Oh, excuse me, let's stick with the Switch 2 first. Is readying 20 million Switch 2 units for its first year. This is from Alex Hopley at Game Reactor. I know this news popped off yesterday. I can't remember if we actually brought it up on Game Mess Morning, so I wanted to focus on that for a little bit. 20 million Switch 2 units for the first year. That's a lot. That seems it's very aggressive. It also seems one of the reasons that they've had this internal delay so they can get a lot of Switch 2s ready. There probably still will be supply shortages, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, I might temper that somewhat.
It probably won't be too bad.
I think it will be fine. 20 million is a lot, but also, and I mean this with pure just pragmatic thinking, the Switch 1 isn't as exciting a prospect to the size of an audience that would result in severe kind of unavailability. It doesn't really have a new angle to it that is different. This feels like a upgrade to an existing thing.
Yep.
That probably a lot of people are going to look at it
to get a lot. People will need to hear their game is coming. If Animal Crossing gets announced, I think there will be if Animal Crossing is a launch game, I think there's going to be a lot of people that show up ready to go for this new thing. But short of that,
the thing that I'm going for is to achieve the level of success that we think a new Switch might do in our minds. What it needs to do is have that person who's holding a existing Switch with Animal Crossing on it look at the other one and go, I need that.
Exactly. That takes a lot.
The Switch is so popular that there are significant swaths of, the population of Earth where they'll just be like, no, I'm going to carry on playing the Animal Crossing I have and the Mario Kart I have on this thing. I don't think it's going to reach sensation levels in the same way that the Wii did. I don't think it's going to be what the Wii U was to the Wii, which is why they called it Switch 2 and not Switch U or Switch again or
Switch up,
Switch is back or anything like that.
Yep.
I don't think it's going to be quite what the Wii U was to the Wii. But I think it's not going to be
what the Game Boy Advance was to Game Boy, right? Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be what the Switch was to the Wii U, which was people were like, "Oh fuck, this thing is." They did it. They did it again. God damn it.
Yep. I think you're 100% right because the way most people think, I spent $200 to $300 on that thing a couple of years ago, and you want me to spend another several $100s to get a new one to play a new Pokemon game? I already have Pokemon. Yeah. That is the way most normal people think, and it takes a sort of critical mass of excitement to get them to be like, okay, I guess now I will spend $400 or whatever it's going to be on the Switch 2. So I think you're right. 20 million is going to be a good amount for this launch.
Yeah. Oh, good. I also I have been playing my Switch more than ever recently.
Yeah, OLED screen for rules, man. That's so good.
Man, the OLED is great. I've been playing Dominus Collection.
Really? You too? Hell yeah!
I'm playing Castlevania on 3 different devices. 3 different. I got my thing, which I was playing. I'm playing Aria of Sorrow on this. I have to restart because I put MuOS on this and it lost my save files.
Oh no!
Despite my best attempt. People are like, "Oh, it's so easy to put MuOS on there." I did it, and I had every possible thing go wrong.
Oh no!
It was so annoying.
Yeah, you inspired me. I started the process. I think I'm going to put MuOS on mine, and I think I mentioned it to Dan that you did that, and he immediately put MuOS on his as well. Although we're both using our Trim UI brick a lot right now.
I'm considering the Miu Flip. So
yeah, I am too. Yes.
It's just not available anywhere.
Yep, it's rough out there. All right, let's get to this next one. A Nintendo Direct focusing on games for the original Switch is coming next month, it's claimed. I think we might have mentioned this yesterday as well, but now there's a lot more confirmation. Well, corroboration of the rumor happening out there. The suggestion is it would be like, hey, there are still games coming to the Switch 1, and Nintendo needs to clean up some information about like what's happened with Metroid Prime 4, and there's Xenoblade Chronicles X, and there's this and there's that, and there's some developers that are probably going to want to have games mentioned as Switch 1 so that people can be reminded that they can get it for the Switch they already have, and then at the same time all those games will work on Switch 2. So technically it's also a Switch 2 event, but all these games will be ones that work on Switch 1. That sounds about right, because Nintendo will have to kind of give us the information about how they are going to handle Metroid Prime and what's the release timing for that versus, when we get the release and price info for Switch 2 in April, when they have the Direct that they've already announced for that on April 2nd. So yeah, anything that in particular you want to see at a Nintendo Direct in February that focuses on Switch 1? Is just like, yeah, okay, let's go through these motions.
The thing I want most is definitely like, it happens every time where we're like, this weird button or this weird feature that they've not told us anything about could be the one that makes their internet and community stuff not run like the worst dog shit fucking series of like menus possible. I don't think it's going to happen. I would love for them to just be normal about the internet.
Yeah.
Just like be absolutely normal.
You're asking so much of this company.
Yeah, I know like it's hard right now and the internet is very much not normal, but like,
yeah.
Listen, man, once they put that Switch down, they're opening up their phone and they are just raw dogging the internet on a Safari browser. Yep. Like, just don't worry about it. This is not your responsibility anymore.
You can't save us anymore.
Move on. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. I would love for them to come out and be like, yep, here is like Metroid Prime 2 and 3, the small remasters as a lead up to Metroid Prime 4. And then I will be pretty satisfied. I've heard those games are ready to go. I hope they don't hold on to those for some weird reason.
You know what my dark horse is?
Yeah, what's that?
You know what I think will pop up?
Please tell me.
Splatoon 3.
Splatoon
4.
Yes,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
Yes, that franchise is so successful for them, especially in Japan.
It's crazy. I bet.
Yes, cultural institution.
Yeah. I was watching a YouTuber, Takeshi from Japan, who goes around and just like asks Japanese people random questions. And one of the recent ones was like, what game are you playing? And what is your favorite game of all time? Alarming amount of Splatoon 2s. Splatoons in there. Just loads of Splatoon. I was like, oh my God, they fucking love it over there.
They love Splatoon. So I think Nintendo is aware of that, and they will not take their time.
Splatting. Yes. They're splatting everywhere. Yep. Japanese people just out there in public, splatting, on the train splatting, at home splatting, they're at a 7-Eleven splatting. It's crazy.
All right. Well, good for them. I'm not going to judge. I mean, we do not wait. I mean, if it doesn't get announced like imminently, it won't be long into the Switch 2 before they have a Splatoon game ready to go for that thing. Just like it won't be long for Animal Crossing and a bunch of others.
I think the mouse thing is the funniest thing I've ever heard.
What do you think? I'm like so excited about that.
Dog,
like that's the dumb kind of gimmick I can get behind.
Are so ass. Like the Joy-Cons.
But have you taken a Joy-Con and tried to use it like a mouse? I kind of like the way it feels.
I cannot. You will never, under any circumstances outside of testing, catch me using a Joy-Con. Oh, I do everything in my power to avoid using Joy-Cons. Like I will put a Switch down in front of me and get my Pro Controller out and look at it and play it, and I'm just like, no. If they think they're gonna turn that thing into a mouse, you got another thing coming, baby.
I was like, I'm imagining is not a strong enough word. I was like daydreaming about using the Switch Joy-Con as a mouse to make Mario Maker levels and like using my lap as the surface because I want this so bad. It is so stupid and I love it. It's my kind of like, okay, yeah, the Joy-Con.
It's gonna feel like a pointer.
Yeah, it's gonna
and they're gonna be like, hey everyone, you can play Pikmin with this, and everyone's gonna be like, no thanks.
There's also apparently like 2 optical sensors inside each of the Joy-Con, like right next to each other, and they're
optically sense these nuts.
You need 2 for that, right? Like they're like, it might be able to sense if you tilt it left or right. I'm like, well, there's an accelerometer in there. They definitely can do that. So they might try to have like a 3D mouse thing.
I don't know for what. I mean, like the obvious thing is like it makes PC ports easier, but we're gonna get like 4 games where they make them specifically to take care of advantage of the, and that'll be the best it gives us.
4
like,
and 4 is
it'll be like Labo
like, it's
again.
gonna be like 2 interesting games and then 2 kind of bullshit. Like, oh, that's the support you're adding to this thing. But my foundational hope here is that if they really go full hog with this, every sort of Nintendo game just kind of turns into a Mario Maker, where like they have create a level, create a stuff built into every game, and that's what the mouse gets used for. And I think that could be really cool. And there's reasons to think that maybe Nintendo is going hard on community creation with this Switch 2, but we'll see how that actually plays out. All right, last couple of stories here. Okay, yeah, this is a fun one. They should be covered in Hideki Kamiya says Switch 2 leakers are trash. This is from Chris Scully at VGC.
He's back.
He's back, and he ain't holding back. He is freed of the chains of Platinum Games and says how he really feels. And Kamiya has made his feelings on leakers clear with a lengthy rant on social media. The Bayonetta director, who is currently working on an Okami sequel with his new team at Clover's Studio, took to Twitter to call out anyone who leaked Switch 2 details before Nintendo revealed the console on Thursday.
No need to do that.
Yes.
He just was like, I'm going to fight someone today. He woke up and just was like, I would like violence.
I love this.
It's not even anything related to him. Like, he's not working on the Switch 2, as far as we know.
Yes.
Like, he's not working on Nintendo. He was just like, I'm going to fucking fight that dude over there.
He says, I hope that all those who leaked Switch 2 information will be cursed for the rest of their lives to have poo on the soles of their shoes whenever they go home. That's a messed up thing to wish on someone, and I love it.
It's like when people are like, "Oh, I hope you stub your toe."
Yeah, right. Exactly. I hate that so much.
It's not like life-threatening. It's just like you're going to be annoyed for the rest of your life.
Oh yeah, and I hate it. I really do hate having shit on my shoe. It's like one of my least favorite things. But it's also not something I'm like thinking about all the time. So if it happened to me every day, every time I went home,
I hope that when you press a button at the crosswalk, it never works. It's like that kind of shit where you're like, oh, that's going to inconvenience me so much.
Yep.
I hope that every time you pull out your phone, it falls, but not to the ground, just a little bit.
Yeah.
And you catch it.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, every
just
time.
give you that little heart palpitation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like a surge of adrenaline that doesn't feel good. All right. The scumbag leaker is only acting for his own pleasure and self-satisfaction, he wrote. Not only is he not benefiting anyone, he's also causing all kinds of opportunity losses, and he's a piece of trash who has nothing to be proud of. He should be covered in and thrown out of the atmosphere and then stop thinking and wander around forever. He concluded, the scumbags are in a position of responsibility where they have access to information that only a very small number of people know about, but all they do is act on their dirty, irrational need for approval. They are the ones who should be blamed, not the manufacturer whose secrets were exposed, and they need to be crushed as soon as possible.
I just want to be his friend so
bad.
Yes,
me too. I want
to
be in the room sitting there watching him like pick up his phone, and I'll be like, all right, I'm in for a show.
I just want to see him pick up the phone and then like his brows furrow ever so slightly, and he's about to nuke Twitter.
Oh, he's
gonna
locked
do it.
in.
You know what I love about him? He is like, obviously I'm a big fan of Kojima. The same energy that Kojima puts into like talking about movies and like being a celebrity chaser, like he has that same level of energy, but he puts it entirely towards being a hater. And I love it so much. He's like, I'm a full-time hater. I'm going to make Okami 2 on the side as my side hustle. But I hope that you never stop shitting your pants.
He is first team all pro hater.
He is an all-star hater.
Yep, absolutely. All right, let's get through these. Better eShop launched. Basically, Nintendo Life launched this like website that is a version of the eShop that eliminates a lot of what they call the shovelware.
What?
Yeah, it's weird. It's a website that kind of uses the eShop API, I'm assuming. It doesn't work great. For one, I went to like all the
oh, so it's just like the eShop.
Yes, I mean it gets faster or whatever, but like there's a deals page, right? I'm like, give me
better eShop.
Yeah, give me US deals. I'm like, oh sweet, this game's on sale for $2.50. I'm gonna pick it up right now. And then I go to the eShop and it's like, all right, $40, please. I'm like, wait, what? And so it's like that was just broken and not working.
This is just a wrapper for like commerce articles.
Exactly. Right. Like is there going to be 100% like I don't know if Nintendo has affiliate links, but maybe they do.
I don't think so.
Yeah. But either way, like they're like, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to fix this, and by fixing it, it means we are going to make sure there's no visual novels available on the store. And a lot of people.
Like to be honest, it's the eShop is so like unresponsive most of the time that if I can get on like this website and just look like, is this thing out now or no?
Yep.
And just to see it, like I'll figure that out. The rest of it, that's useful enough.
A faster eShop is all we really need. But they're like, hey, the number one complaint we hear is people think there's too much crap on there. There's too many clocks. So we're not going to let that on there. We're not going to let visual novels on our store. And people are like, well, that's racist because the visual novels are Japanese games. And I'm like, all right, well, let's slow down a little bit. If you go ask a person in Japan, if like, hey, do visual novels represent your culture? And if someone doesn't like them, are they racist? They'd be like, what are you talking about? But I get it. And I'm personally, I just don't think it's ever a good idea to try to be like, here's what should be allowed in a store.
Yeah.
Let people decide if they don't want to buy something, even if that means there are 100 digital clocks in the shop. It just has never been a problem for me. It hasn't been. I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, like, I generally use Deku deals.
Yeah.
For this kind of stuff.
Most people do.
But
a lot of people do.
It doesn't, it's just mostly, but they like prioritize what's on sale and that kind of stuff as opposed to like, this is the full experience of the eShop. We just took out all the titty games.
Yeah, and we need those. That's art too.
Yeah. Kamiya needs them.
Yeah. EA Sports
Kamiya's going to be like, you took out the titty games. I hope there's shit on your shoe for the rest of your life.
Hell yeah, get them. EA Sports College Football 26 has been announced. Least surprising thing ever. EA Sports College Football 25 is the best-selling game of last year. That doesn't usually happen. It's usually going to be a Call of Duty or a Rockstar game. Nope, it was EA Sports College Football 25 in the United States, of course, best-selling game.
Do your best EA Sports voice.
EA Sports.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I can kind of do some of those announcers. I could do the triple kill. Those are the ones I got.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's the one I got.
Let me do mine.
Yeah, give me yours. Yeah.
EA Sports.
Whoa, okay. You know what really sells is when you like add that harsh American accent to the end. That's good shit.
Hell yeah.
I love that. Can you give me a Midway Asylum?
Midway Asylum.
Hell yeah, let's go.
There you go.
Oh man.
I've voice acted in one game. If you need a voice actor,
that's not enough. That's not enough. You gotta be in more games. Midway Asylum was like
I can do original merchant pretty well.
Yeah.
What are you buying?
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Got a selection of good things on sale, stranger.
What are you selling? Yeah.
Not enough cash.
All right. Let's wrap up. Let's get over the poll question. Do I have that ready to go? Let's see here. Actually, while I'm getting that set up, Tam, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet, what you have going on, all that good stuff.
What do we have going on? After this, we have IKEA Assembly Service.
Yeah, of course.
That's my personal calendar. My bad.
No problem. I get it.
IKEA man is coming to do my
shelves.
We know I've had enough of doing shelves myself. Yeah. Bowser's Hurry is coming next. That is at 10, I believe, which is exactly the same time IKEA Assembly Service starts. Just
okay,
FYI.
Well, just have them come on there and commentate as well.
Yeah, so that is next. It's a 3-day weekend, so you won't see us around on Monday. We will be celebrating MLK Day and nothing else happening that day.
I heard you were celebrating something else. I'm sorry. Been wrong.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know where I was that day. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's it. People are getting mad at me for paying someone else to do IKEA shit. Listen,
please, no, don't. Come on.
I have built so many fucking shelves over the last day. I just don't want to do this.
These are people that don't remember the stories of what you've gone through with all this stuff.
Go back and find that one shelf that I tried to, that corner shelf, and what it did to me. Okay, this is the TaskRabbit man who's trying to earn a buck. What's wrong with you people?
He's a job
He's trying
creator.
to take money out of his pockets. Okay, are you gonna give him money for the day? Are you gonna pay him? Are you gonna feed his kids? No, shut the fuck up then. Let me pay this man to do the thing that I don't want to do. All right?
Yeah, that's the whole idea. That's what money is for. What do people think money's for?
I hope that the people who are mad at me, they get chewing gum stuck to the bottom of the shoe for the rest of their life.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Oh, man, you guys are done. You guys are cooked. All right. Poll question from yesterday. Let's see. There it is. When do you think the Switch 2 is coming out? April, May, summer, fall were your options. 6% think April. Yeah. That's probably right. 19% think May. Man, I would love for it to be May. But 48% think it's going to come in the summer. And 27% think it will come out in the fall. I voted fall because that April direct date makes me think like, okay, they announced the thing and maybe it comes to fall, and I don't want to get my hopes up because the other option for me would be May. I just don't think this thing comes out in summer, but most people think I'm wrong here, so I don't know.
Man, yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, man, I hope it's May. All right, a new poll question. Are you disappointed that Sony canceled Bluepoint's live service God of War game? I am doing this because I want to see if we can get almost 100% on something on a question for once.
Please don't vote yes. Yeah. I'm begging you.
Yeah, don't be
There's going to be a CEO somewhere that will look at that one vote and be like, so you're saying we have a chance?
We have a chance. Yeah, we just went over them one at a time. All right. Yeah, we'll get the results of that on Game Mess Mornings back here on Wednesday because, as Tam mentioned, we're off on Monday for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Tuesday will be the Bombcast. We'll be back on Wednesday. If you are watching live in about an hour from now, Bowser's Fury will kick off. It will be a full race to beat the game Bowser's Fury between me, Dan, Mike, maybe Sean. His wrist is healing up. We'll see if he's ready to go.
I think I'm gonna pop in for a little bit to just hang about.
Feel free to come hang out. It's gonna be a hangout kind of thing.
Yeah, I might come in, leave, and then come back.
Yep, no problem. And Sean says yes to Sean. So Sean is competing. And last thing about this is we're going to be raising money for the Red Cross. Nikki set up our Tiltify, I believe, got it all ready to go. So we will have a link for you if you want to help raise money for people affected by the fires in Los Angeles. Throughout the entire stream, we'll be raising that money. So please help us out there. Maybe we can come up with some incentives or something to make that make sense. I don't know what they would be, but maybe we can come up with something. All right. I think that's going to do it. Tam, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talk about video games, man. I think you crushed it.
I hope people enjoyed watching a Dark Souls 3 lore video in the background. This one was brought to you by Brothers Cold. It is the full story of Dark Souls 3.
Thank you all for watching and listening. You are the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.
Okay.
All right, hang on. We're still hot on YouTube because it logged me out. Let me.
Can they still